Bill O'Reilly here. You are listening to the O'Reilly Update, sponsored by Tax Network USA, America's #1 choice for tax resolution. Please go to tnusa.com/bill or call 800-245-6000. Coming up next, the news with Mike Slater.
Thank you, Bill. It's Friday, November 8th, 2024. Here's what's happening today in America. New chief of staff. Pennsylvania called. Late night breakdown. And monkeys escape. It's all coming up. Then Bill's going to be here with your message of the day. But first, Donald Trump has named Susie Wiles to be his new chief of staff. Wiles will be the first ever female White House chief of staff. Not sure if Mark Cuban finds her to be a strong, intelligent woman that apparently Trump refuses to surround himself with. She hasn't worked in D.C. since the Reagan administration at the Department of Labor as a White House scheduler, and then on Capitol Hill working for Congressman Jack Kemp. She left for Florida, where she ran the long-shot Rick Scott bid for governor in 2010, and then worked Trump's campaign in 2016, and then DeSantis' governor's race in 2018. Again, Trump named the first ever female chief of staff. What a misogynist. Dave McCormick, the Republican candidate for senator in Pennsylvania, has declared victory, even if Bob Casey has refused to concede. The latest batch of votes, McCormick's lead is increased to 34,000, with about 16,000 ballots more to go. So the Associated Press admits that even if 60% of the remaining ballots were for Casey, which they won't be, he still can't win. Casey says, "We're committed to ensuring every Pennsylvania's vote is heard and confident that at the end of the process, Senator Casey will be reelected." He won't. This brings the Republican majority in the Senate to 53. Jimmy Kimmel broke down crying during his monologue after the election. He said, "Let's be honest, it was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go, for healthcare, for our climate, for science, for journalism, for justice, for free speech. It was a terrible night for poor people, for the middle class, for seniors who rely on Social Security, for our allies in Ukraine, for NATO, for truth, democracy, and decency." Seth Meyers said, "It's a privilege to be here with you, to not feel alone. We're not going to let anything take that joy away, even when we're talking about things that are not particularly joyful." By the way, Georgetown University had a safe space for people grieving the election loss. They had milk and cookies, coloring, and Legos. Georgetown University. 43 monkeys have escaped from a bioresearch lab in South Carolina. Someone forgot to secure the door, so all the monkeys escaped. Local police are telling people to shut their windows and doors and make sure the monkeys don't get in your house, and to call 911 if you see any. I'm Mike Slater from the podcast Politics by Faith. The great Bill O'Reilly has your message of the day next.
Are you feeling the impact of recent timeshare industry changes? Now more than ever, the costs of timeshare ownership far outweigh the benefits. My friends at Lone Star Transfer are the only company I trust to help you get out. Our listeners' positive feedback demonstrates why I've supported the company for years. For more than a decade, they have helped over 20,000 owners get out of the timeshare. Their exclusive options can help you get out faster and easier, more than any other option in the country. They are the only company that will give you a written guarantee and release you from your timeshare in a specific time frame. With an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau and thousands of 5-star reviews, customer service is their top priority. For free consultation and a guaranteed solution, please call 855-551-7066. That's 855-551-7066, or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. Time now for the O'Reilly Update message of the day. On this Friday, lots of angst among left-wing Americans as the person they loathe the most once again inserts himself into the history books. And when disappointment rises, so does the blame game. The Democrats lost to Donald Trump because Joe Biden is the second worst president ever. The foppish James Buchanan leads the league, but Biden tried very hard to overtake him. Most incompetent presidents inherited problems. Herbert Hoover comes to mind. Clueless old Herb did little to help destitute Americans ruined by the Great Depression. Hoover didn't cause the economic collapse, he simply failed to mitigate it. Buchanan inherited a rebellious South in 1856 and did nothing to tamp things down. As he walked out of the White House, he might have said, "Hey, Abe Lincoln, let me introduce you to the Civil War." President Biden ignited inflation, opened the southern border to all, foolishly withdrew from Afghanistan. On and on. As Barack Obama once said, quote, "Don't underestimate Joe's ability to F things up." The insecure Kamala Harris could not address any of Biden's mistakes. To her, things were swell all along the watchtower. So she lost, and now her supporters want to blame someone. Well, that would be Joe and Cam, correct? As they say, reality bites. I'm Bill O'Reilly. I approve the message by writing it. You can reach me, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, name and town if you wish to opine. Now let's go to the mail. Dan Killicut, Hannibal, New York. We've just witnessed a modern-day miracle. They threw everything they could at Trump for 8 years. They lined up the media, Hollywood elite, everyone else they could. Some of his own rhetoric cost him, and he still wins in a landslide. The folks voted their wallets. That's what they did, and they were smart to do so. Ron Rabel, Clinton, Missouri. Bill, any insight on the Walz pick for VP? Disaster. He was a disaster, Walz. Goes back to Minnesota. Didn't even win his own district in Minnesota where he lives. It went for Trump. Kamala Harris, if she had picked Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania, she might have won. And the reason she didn't pick Shapiro was because the progressives don't like him because he's Jewish and a supporter of Israel. Bernie Sanders stepped in and said, no, Josh Shapiro. Sanders pretty much run the Biden administration. And that's what happened. Walz was an absolute disaster. Can you imagine that man as president? Andrea on the message board, I just watched Harris's concession speech where she said we are now entering a dark period. Bitter to the end. Couldn't even have a healing message to the American people. Well, you'd be bitter too if you got waxed like she did, you know. And to her, it is a dark period. Chuck, concierge member, people must be mobilizing on the border now. They know the chaos will end in January. I don't know if it'll be that fast, but we are going to have a report and update on Monday on the border. You are correct. There is deep concern, and migrants are starting to move up here. In a moment, something you might not know. Hey, Bill O'Reilly here. America is at a breaking point. Record inflation, interest rates, debt. The last thing we need is more reckless government spending and higher taxes, and they could happen. But a Harris presidency could bring us into that zone, plus a hit to your retirement savings. So protect your savings with American Hartford Gold. They'll help you secure your retirement by diversifying with physical gold and silver. Start with a simple phone call. They'll guide you through the process, even deliver gold and silver right to your door, or place it directly in your IRA or 401k. Don't wait. These safe haven assets can protect you in an economic crisis. Call or text American Hartford Gold today. Tell them O'Reilly sent you to get up to $15,000 of free silver on qualifying orders. Call 877-444-GOLD, 877-444-GOLD Gold, or text GOLD to 65532. Again, that's 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532. Now, the O'Reilly Update brings you something you might not know. Some politicians like Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez continue to promote a socialist model for the USA. That means centralized government control over the economy and a lot of other things. But consider this. Socialist Marxist societies have the lowest annual wages on earth. Here are the worst places for workers. Communist China, average person earns $12,000 a year. Cuba, $5,000. Vietnam, $4,000. Laos, $3,000. Bolivia, $2,800 annually. Venezuela, $1,500. Can you believe this kind of stuff? North Korea, just $1,000 a year. Mozambique, Africa, $800. The lowest on the list, Eritrea, $500 a year per worker. The tiny Marxist nation in East Africa is the most impoverished place on earth. 90% of the people live on $2 a day or less. The country's biggest industry, barley cultivation. The highest incomes on earth can be found in free market democracies and oil-rich countries in the Middle East. Kuwait, average worker, $80,000 a year. Switzerland, $90,000. Emirates in the Gulf, $100,000. Top of the list, Luxembourg. The typical Luxembourger earns $150,000 a year because banking dominates that ultra-small country just north of Belgium. Capitalism again. The USA is the 10th highest per capita income at $76,000 a year on average. However, we have the lowest tax rate in the industrial world, giving Americans more purchasing power than Europeans. And here's something else you might not know. While some socialist nations allow their citizens to spend their money freely, most communist countries maintain control over what you can buy. In Cuba, you can only buy at government-run supermarkets, hotel, on and on. It's really oppressive. Back after this. Did you know every day is a perfect day for peace of mind? With American Home Shield Warranty, you are covered for unexpected breakdowns like leaky faucets or faulty water heaters. Choose a plan that fits your budget and rest easy knowing repairs and replacements are taken care of. Simply contact American Home Shield when an issue arises, and their trusted pros will handle it according to your coverage. Don't let worries about appliances and home systems weigh you down. Celebrate the reassurance of protection. Don't worry, be warranty. For 20% off plans, visit ahs.com/bill. For more details, see ahs.com/contracts for coverage details, including limit amounts, fees, limitations, and exclusions. Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin, just facts, and always looking out for you.